Okay, alright. Yeah. Oh my god, you look so professional. I hate you. And I look like a bomb.
This is every day.
Oh my god. Okay, hi everybody, this is Ben.
Hello.
Welcome to Mo Don't Know Shit, episode 1. No, so the point is, I'm just gonna ask about things I don't know from my friends or the people that know better than I do. And this is Ben. I think, in my opinion, he's an expert.
Oh no.
But at least no more than me. I'm just gonna have a conversation with you.
For sure.
Yes, because there was a conversation like a while back that I was doing like a YouTube live, and then people were talking about like BDSM.
Yeah.
And then there are still a lot of people out there that like truly believes that like, oh, BDSM is what happened in 50 Shades of Grey, or like
Ow. That hurts me when people say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people are like 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, that's no. That's no.
Okay, so what about it that is not right, or like is there any part that's right, like, or so what is it then?
It's 50 Shades of Grey is a rape fantasy.
See?
Yeah, it's yeah, there's no negotiation in it. It is a fantasy of an abusive relationship, and fetishizing a really toxic man, really toxic relationship.
Like 365. You've seen that one too?
No, what is that?
Oh, it was the one that like a really, really, really handsome mafia guy was like kidnapping the main girl.
Oh my god.
And like not raping / not ripping, not / very tempting. Like they were like, I don't know. It became like another one that's like.
Where everyone was like, oh yeah, this is hot, and you were like, it's super unhealthy.
Yeah, and like because he kidnapped her.
Right.
Like hold her against her will. He was like, okay, if in 365 days you don't fall in love with me, I'll put you back right where you were. And she was, because she was like, I want to go home. Like, where's this? Who are you?
Obviously.
And he was like, I've been watching you for a long time.
That's called Stockholm Syndrome.
I know, but then, yeah. So when she got out, like, like, come to visit her friend, pregnant with his baby.
Oh my god.
And then her friend was like, is everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I love him very much. And but, I mean, she loves him in the story.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh man, the ending was like, what? What's happening? And I haven't seen the second one yet, but my friend was like, So I don't know. Yeah.
No, BDSM is about there's a larger focus on consent and on negotiation. And a lot of BDSM isn't about sex, and 50 Shades of Grey is mostly about sex. There's not a lot of things that happen in BDSM that occur in 50 Shades of Grey. They tease at it, like bondage. He ties her up and then unties her to have sex with her, which is fine in terms of kink, but it's like they had the slightest idea, like someone did no research on what an actual kink relationship involves. Because it's a lot of negotiation, it's a lot of power dynamics and talking and checking in with each other, and he has a contract for her, and like she has to sign it and she can't back out of it. Like, that's not consensual. That's if you're not allowed to remove consent at any point, then that's not a safe environment. Yeah,
okay.
The whole thing about BDSM is that it's consensual and that you have the ability to say no at any point. And when you sign a contract saying, no, this is what I agree to do all of this, contracts by like concept are things that you can't back out of. Yeah, and you should always be able to say no in the middle of anything sexual. Like if it starts to go in a direction you're not comfortable with, you should be able to go, nope, calling it, stop right here.
And like, is this one what we call a safe word?
Yes, that's a safe word. So yeah, safe words would be, because a lot of people, like, because of the fantasy.
Yeah, what is a safe word?
Yeah, hey. So because of the fantasy of like having control taken away from you, a lot of times people want to be able to say like, no, stop, and they want to be able like to protest and fight back against, you know, sometimes they're against the person doing things to them. They want to be able to. It can be part of the fantasy to be like, no, stop, but you don't actually want them to stop. So you have an agreed upon word that is not no or stop, but something that you wouldn't normally say in sex, that people say instead. So that if you really do, if like, you know, you're getting spanked or choked or whatever, and you want to play the fantasy of being a victim, and you're like, no, stop. But if your safe word is red, then and something goes too far, you don't say no, you don't say stop, you say red, and the person who's doing the things to, like the person who's in charge of the dom, who's doing the choking or doing the spanking or doing the tying up or whatever, they hear you say red or whatever the word you agreed on beforehand. You always have to agree on your safe word beforehand so that everyone's on the same page. Then when you say red, then they know to stop, because they're like, because no or stop doesn't mean the same thing in a BDSM scene. Instead, red means no. Or a tremendous amount of people, pineapple is their safe word. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? That was the first thing
It's
that
a thing.
came out. Always the first thing that comes out when somebody was like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, safe word, pineapple, blueberries.
It's a thing. Like,
blueberry?
no, but pineapple.
Pineapple.
It's
Mostly
specifically pineapple. I know, like, I know
What about cucumber?
at least,
Like cucumba.
no, because too many people are like, oh yeah, give me that cucumber.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of it.
No, I've never heard anyone say.
What is
oh,
like
yeah,
morning glory?
Morning.
Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Oh, yeah, shut the fuck up.
I feel like that sounds more like
Oh,
a
yeah.
sex position than a
Okay,
safe
never mind.
word.
What about cabbage?
Cabbage? I don't know anyone who, is that your safe word?
No!
I don't know anyone who
No.
sees cabbage.
See, I was just like, it was as weird.
But that would be good.
But why pineapple, right?
I genuinely don't know. But I can name off the top of my head a half dozen women that I have been with who have used pineapple as their safe word. Unrelated to any
Who
of each
picked
other.
the safe word?
In my case, I almost always let the bottom, the sub, whoever's taking the abuse, I let them pick the safe word because I want it to be something that they can remember.
Oh yeah, so you talk about sub and dom.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain on that a little bit more? Some people might not know what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. People in the BDSM community it's easy to subcategorize yourself based on your interests. So sub and dom is for submissive and dominant, and normally what that refers to are people who, the submissive is normally the one being spanked, the one being tied up, the one who is having things done to them. Whereas the the dominant is the person who is doing the things to the sub. And things break down more so because normally dom and sub means that generally there's a mindset of control. The dom has control, the sub is the one being controlled. Top and bottom get used a little more in gay culture, queer culture, but they apply to BDSM as well. The top is generally the one in control, the bottom is being controlled. Like there's primal play, and in primal play you have predator and prey. Predator is in control, prey is the one being controlled. Primal play is generally, it's a subcategory of BDSM that revolves around being more animalistic. There can be like a chase, a hunt involved, where like the submissive or the prey wants to be pursued. Everything in the BDSM world is a case-by-case basis. So there are, like, I'm saying things in general. So a takedown scene is usually a scene where it's a wrestling match. Generally, it's the predator or the dom has to is gonna wrestle and take down the submissive.
Like fighting?
Yes, but again, consensual fighting. Yeah. So it's called struggle play. Also, it's a case by case basis, and it's great. Like, you know, you don't have to be full fledged. I know people who, like, every week that's what they do. They dress up in leather and they go to the BDSM club. And there are people who are like, maybe once every 3 months to spice things up in the bedroom. Like, it varies, and there's no line where you're like, well, you're not really a kinkster if you're not doing it every night, taking eggplant up.
Like, that was the only way to, you know, get them to be happy.
Some people it is. Some people, like, don't get sexual satisfaction if they're not doing BDSM. And some people get satisfaction out of BDSM that isn't sexual. It's, you know, everything's a spectrum, but
yeah, because
but it's case by
you
case.
say that BDSM is not sexual. I think that's a statement that, like, most people don't see it like that, right? Most people see it like, oh, BDSM, like the first thing about is like sex. Like when they see bondage or like shibari, they're like sex.
Yeah, it's inherently sexualized, and most of the time it's sexual of some kind. A scene is a moment of BDSM from basically like when you're doing it. It's literally from like you establish in a BDSM scene start and finish generally, because you establish rules beforehand. So when you're doing a scene, the dom and the sub talk beforehand. They agree on the safe word. They agree on the rules.
So it's like role play.
Role play is part of it, yeah, and somewhat, yeah. Like role play gets into like acting.
Oh.
Where people you're taking on a role for the time, and during the scene you play by the rules that you guys agreed on. So if it's like, yes, rope, I want to be tied up, no choking, I'm okay being slapped everywhere except my face, and you guys agree on that before you start doing anything. And then the scene starts, and the scene is all the stuff, all the play, and then when the scene is over, there's like an established, it's over. If someone calls a safe word, the scene is over immediately. You stop right there. But if it goes well and no one calls a safe word, yeah.
Do you think it's hurting us?
Is it listening?
No, the plane, like the sound. Because we're a little far from the camera.
I guess we are. Hello.
And you talk about BDSM club, so that's dungeons, same thing?
Yes. I can't think of a BDSM club that wasn't called a dungeon, so I'm gonna say that's like 99% of the time. Yeah, if you're going to a BDSM club, then it's probably called a dungeon.
What entails, like what they do different? Can that be a story to tell, or you have to go to one to know what it is?
Well, I would say you'd have to go to like 6 to know what they are, because everyone's different. Because it's a club, so the way every club is different. Every club has different rules. Every dungeon has like their own thing. There's 3.5 in Los Angeles that I've been to. Generally, what they all usually have is a public space that isn't used for play. It's not used for anything kink related or BDSM. It's just a hangout where it's like safe to come and like you can go and chill out there and you can meet people, you can have a drink. Not all dungeons have alcohol, because that can get tricky with things like safe words and hurting people.
Like couldn't speak or like blurry
Exactly.
speech.
If you know each other and you're a little buzzed, like that's up to you guys. But if you're like actively drinking, like to get drunk, don't do BDSM. It's not safe. It's just, everyone has to be aware of everything that's going on, and if either of you are not, then you're putting each other in danger. Yeah, don't do BDSM under the influence. Don't drink and spank.
It's okay, Ben. I think what is really important that I think, I caught from this is that BDSM is about
consent and safety.
Yes.
Yeah. It's about everything because it's fantasy. There's no heat of the moment. Like that's the whole reason you have to discuss ahead of time. That's the whole reason you have conversations. You agree what's okay and what's not okay. Because, I mean, if you are using a leather whip on somebody, there's no that's not the same as oh, I got a little drunk and I said some things I shouldn't have. If you're using a physical object on somebody, you lose control, you can cause permanent damage to people, both physical and emotional. That can be traumatizing. Yeah. I mean, there's and it spirals into other things, especially if some people use BDSM to cope with trauma.
Oh, really interesting. I was actually about to ask.
Yeah.
That I had a friend who's a dominatrix, and then, it was interesting that the customers are mostly CEOs, and people in high places wanted her to boss them around.
A lot of submissives have power in their real life, and it's therapeutic to them to have no control. And it's sometimes the flip. I know a lot of doms who have shitty lives or their job sucks and this is their escapist fantasy where they get it allows them to be powerful when they have to unfortunately take shit from people all day. Damn. So and that's again not the case for everyone by far. I know plenty of doms who are in powerful positions. I know plenty of subs who who are bottom rung of the ladder in their normal lives. It's all just depends on the person.
Have you ever seen a sub that's in lives actually life's terrible too?
Yeah, have you seen The World?
Yeah,
life's terrible for a lot of people.
Because I was yeah, that's actually
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Sad.
Okay, never mind. Is there anywhere to know more about BDSM?
I would say your local dungeon.
Damn!
Yeah, your local dungeon.
So I just look online, being searching dungeons?
You can go, so there's a website called FetLife. FetLife, like all of the internet, is hit or miss depending on who you speak to, and there's a lot of people.
Wait, what was that?
Hit or miss?
Fit life?
FetLife.
Fet life,
fetish life.
Fet.
Yeah, F-E-T life. And it's Facebook for kinky people, which means that you're gonna get a lot of internet trolls, but you will encounter a lot of people. FetLife is an interesting place to talk to people in the community or who want to be in the community. It is do not expect everyone on FetLife to know what they're talking about. Yeah. A lot of them don't.
But that's where you go and meet people.
But it's a place to interact with people and meet people and talk to people. But don't think everyone there is an expert just because they've got photos. It's the internet. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, because at first I was, some people always being hey, how would you know? That someone, if you just met someone, you're oh my god, I love their personality, I love blah, blah, blah. The only thing that, they've never had, it's maybe, sex. And then, then when it comes to time, how do you know that it would match?
You talk to them ahead of time.
Even before you.
Always. Oh my god. I met.
Because a lot of people, they're oh, we were friends, and then, at one point, I didn't know I found love, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, they never talked about.
I have every partner I've met online. Actually, almost every partner every person that I have done a scene with, that I've had sex with, since becoming a part of the community, there has been a conversation ahead of time, of at the very least, what are your it's dating. It's what are you into? Except instead of what are your hobbies, it's what are your fantasies? Are they in? And then I would always ask what are your fantasies? And then they tell me, and I'm have you done any of that before? Are you do you have much experience? Are they things that you want to try, or are they just things that you like to think about? And that way, like, you have to have that conversation ahead of time. Because if you wait till you get into the bedroom, it's like that's where the heat of the moment comes in. You're not talking about it. You're already riled up on hormones, and like you're very liable to like just jump in without a conversation about it. And then, like, again, you can play it by ear, but you're risking both of you getting hurt if you don't have a conversation ahead of time. It's all about communication. Yeah, if you get in there and you just start wailing on someone and they don't want to be hit, then you've just assaulted somebody because they didn't tell you, yes, I want this.
No, like, how about, like, you know, like, if someone was like, oh, I'm afraid they're gonna not like who I am, and, like, just had, like, regular sex.
I mean...
And then...
You gotta talk about it.
Like, how to try to come out with it. To, like, how can someone, like, open a conversation about, like...
Well, I would say the same thing, what I just said, where, like, you're like, when you ask them, like, what are you into? Then tell them what you're into. Like, people are like, oh, I'm really kinky, I'm into doggy style. I'm like, okay. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's not maybe as kinky as you think it is. But that's the point, when they're like, oh, I'm into doggy style, and then that's where you can bring up your interest, where you're like, have you, like, I mean, I like to tie people up. Have you ever been tied up? Does that interest you at all? Like, that's when you bring it up in that conversation. You don't just have to ask them what they're into. You can offer what you're into and see if they're into it as well.
You know, it would be a heartbreak if, like, you know, you like someone already and then at the end they're like, they can't go through this with you.
Depends. Are you monogamous with them?
Oh,
because,
that's right.
Because if you're monogamous with them, then yeah, you guys have to come to terms and decide if sexual compatibility is less important than the rest of your relationship. Because sexual compatibility is big. It's not everything for everyone. If you're not monogamous, then it's cool, we'll do what we do have in common, and then you go do those other things with someone else.
Yeah.
Not everyone's into everything.
So I think people just need to, you know, be a little more open-minded.
And communicate. Yes.
She asked me this question that, you know, the whole class was like, what? You know, she was like, so is rape wrong in every situation, in every case? Right? And I was like, of course.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then she had like this situation that's actually happened for real in court. That like, so the, you know, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, they were like together for a long time. They were doing role plays and stuff. And then like, she was like mentioning to him in the past, like maybe 2 years before, that like, you know, oh, she want like, you know, a rape situation from him.
Yeah, the fantasy.
And then, you know, life goes on, they do other things, they didn't check in about this, blah, blah, blah. And then on that day, you know, he was like, decided to surprise her, was wearing this black mask, hiding in the house.
Absolutely fucking not.
And then she was like fighting back and saying no. And then even, you know, at the point that, you know, she knows that it's him, but she's still saying no. But for him, she was like, oh, she's like really playing into this roleplay thing, right? I really want the camera to come right here to see.
I'm so mad right now.
Eye rolls.
I really am.
And then, so she was like, you know, so he was like, he didn't understand. He thought that like, oh, it was a role play that she's saying no. And she was like, no, that was the real no, because, you know, it was a no. And she accepted that it was like, she did say
but no.
many years ago.
Yeah,
you know?
It's why you have to talk right before. You have to have the conversation before, and everyone has to be on the same page.
Yeah.
You can't say something 2 years ago and then your partner pretends to be someone else surprised. No, that's assault.
Yeah.
That's still rape, and it's still wrong.
Yeah.
Boom! Yeah. No, fuck that. And just to follow up on that.
Yeah.
In the concept of like, is rape always wrong? Yes. Because if it's rape play, if you're doing a whole scene where you're pretending you're not into it, and you're like, but you don't say your safe word, because you were enjoying it, then it's, again, pretending. It's not actually rape. It's play. And if it's consensual,
Yes.
it's play, and you're both pretending. That's between two consenting adults.
Yeah.
But it has to be agreed upon by both people, and it's not like it's you gotta have a safe word. You gotta be able to say no, and revoke consent. Otherwise, it's not a game.
And I hope the plane didn't fuck us up. Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Ben.
My pleasure.
Yeah, from like not knowing anything, now I feel like, yeah, I know a little bit more.
Hell
right,
yeah.
guys.
Education.
All right, love, bye. Live your life.
No one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
They opened up their marriage, and she ended up finding a boyfriend who was part of their life, and the two of them had a very sexual relationship, she and her boyfriend, and she and her husband had a very strong domestic relationship. And you have a different relationship with each partner, and it's not a matter of like, well, I've given 30% of my love to this person, 70% of my love to this person. It's a matter of I love this person this way, and I love this person this way. It's not a quantity, it's a quality.
Subscribe กดกระดิ่งด้วยนะคะ ขอบคุณค่ะ
So if people are like, oh my god, Ben is so interesting, how can I like stalk him?
Oh, that would be.
Do you leave trails?
Yeah.
Like, give me some
internet
breadcrumbs.
Yes, I'm on Instagram at the old Ben River.
Okay.
What? It works.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter.
Whoa.
I'm on Twitter. I think it's just Old Ben River, no article, no the.
Am I following you on Twitter?
No,
Yeah,
you're
my phone
not.
is
You should be.
recording. I should be. I will be.
At Old Ben River.
At Old Ben.
And then
You know what? By the time people see this, I already following you, so
perfect.
it's gonna be a lot.
You'll just link it. Yeah. Yep.
Don't worry, I'm not cutting anything. I'm just gonna, post this. Yeah.
It's so hard. I want to look at the screen, even though I know the cameras.
No, the camera's right over there.
Oh balls.
So you've been looking at the red dot the whole time?
No, I've been looking at you.
Oh. No. I see that you look at me, but sometimes you're like shaking into the
Maybe.
with the
Maybe.
folks over here.
No, I was doing that nervous actor thing where I just like look at myself on the camera.
Yeah, so Ben is a writer, a designer.
You're turning into Edna Mode from The Incredibles. Darling, yes, of course.
Darling, yes. Of course.
You get these like thick glasses.
No capes.
No capes.
No cape.
No capes.
No cape. No cape. No
Breaks my
cape.
heart.
No cape.